guys, welcome back to So Bad It's Good, presented by Betches Media. Okay, remember when movies stayed with you? Remember when you actually went to the movies and you felt something? Well, that is where I have been living this entire week since I saw this new movie called Saltburn. I don't think I will ever be able to leave Saltburn. We are so privileged to speak to our guest today. She is the writer and director of this movie. She's an actor having appeared in The Crown and Barbie as Midge, but she is also an Academy Award-winning writer for Best Original Screenplay for 2020's Promising Young Woman, which she also directed. She is back with a vengeance, writing and directing this new movie called Saltburn, out this week, which stars Jacob Elordi and Barry Keoghan, the one and only Emerald Fennell. Emerald, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I love that introduction. Can you just come with me everywhere I go? Can you come with me to like my parents' house?
Yeah, please. She is entering the room. The Fennells. Yeah, no. I watched Promising Young Woman again last night, and I was just thinking what a big swing this is for a second movie. Like, this is a huge swing, and you hit it. Like, was there any trepidation? Because this material is dark and beautiful and gothic. What made you want to have Saltburn as your second project?
I mean, I think I'm only really interested in making stuff that makes you feel something, you know, that makes me feel something. And so I've been thinking about Saltburn for a long time and kind of living in the house by myself with those characters for 7 or 8 years now. And it's never immediately clear what is going to be the next thing. I wish I could be strategic about it, but I can't. And so I think, though, that it makes sense that Saltburn was the thing that I wrote during COVID, given that it is a movie about looking but not being able to touch. And, you know, it's a movie about, I guess, to some degree, fluids bodily.
Especially in bathtubs. Yeah,
well, given that we were bleaching groceries and terrified of even seeing each other, even breathing on each other, I suppose now it makes sense to me that this was the movie I wanted to make, which is a movie, about kind of how insane you become when you cannot touch the thing you want to touch.
And Saltburn itself, you know, this place that they all go to is so massive and huge and lonely and gothic and beautiful. 2006, this movie takes place in. Why 2006? Because I thought such an interesting time period before we really Instagram took hold of us. Because I was like, oh my God, imagine all the Instagram photos that would be taken at Saltburn. Why 2006 for you?
Well, you know, it's set for the most part in the summer of 2007, which I chose because it was exactly 15 years before we shot the movie. And the thing about 15 years ago is it looks super lame wherever you are in time, because the trends haven't come back yet. Everything's still in your wardrobe, but you kind of don't like it anymore. It's just a very, very kind of visceral feeling of, you know, the very, very recent past where everything feels like at once very familiar, but also kind of alien. And I think I really wanted, I wanted this very beautiful place filled with very beautiful people in these very timeless backdrops to feel very, very, very much of its time. And I think that, you know, it makes a huge difference when the most beautiful people in the world have Livestrong bracelets and tattoos, terrible bat-wing tops with 10,000 scarves. You know, it was the time of the skinny scarf. And that hits home. And because of the nature of the genre this movie sort of takes its lead from, is that kind of gothic, you know, British country house gothic. So it's sort of, you know, things like Brideshead Revisited and The Go-Between, and they all, you know, it's a very specific gothic trope that you have your narrator telling you about a time in their past that kind of completely upended their life. And so it was sort of necessary because of the structure of the film. Right away, it needed to be in the past. So, I mean, you know, 2007, what a year, what a time.
It took me back, and the music in this took me back. As soon as I heard Block Party, Arcade Fire, the music just I went back to that time, and I was telling my friends who I used to go to Coachella's with, I was like, guys, I saw this movie, and I didn't realize 15 years have passed. I didn't realize all this time had passed until I saw this movie, and it locked me in so much. But even music, Murder on the Dance Floor, I don't want to give anything away, but what a great song to put in this movie, and especially the way you do it. I mean, how important is music to you in these things? Because it just seems like that was even crafted so meticulously.
Thank you. No, I mean, look, music is one of the most like significant weapons that you have, you know, as a filmmaker. And it's the place that I start. I make playlists. You know, I had a Saltburn playlist that I listened to for 8 years, which was the thing that kind of got me into, it's the sort of thing, it kind of the meditative, without sounding too much of a wanker, it's the thing that kind of like gets me into the world is the playlist. And then, yeah, I mean, what's really interesting about the music of the time is that well, some of it has some of the bands have like outlasted the era, but actually what you find is a lot of them had this like one or two unbelievable albums, and then they kind of disappeared, or for whatever reason they went in different directions. And so the music of the time stayed there to some degree, you know, and we tried to make sure that we at least chose bands or artists who kind of felt very much of their time. But it's kind of important to me. I always, for the first few assemblies of the movie, maybe the first 5-6 times I watched the movie as a whole in the edit, we use no music at all, no temp music, no pop music, even though often it's in the script, because I really need to know that it works narratively and kind of emotionally without music. Because the moment you have Block Party's This Modern Love,
it's over.
Crying, you know, it's the most beautiful song in the world.
It truly, truly is. I was thinking about the characters. I mean, the characters, each one of these people stays with us after the film. Barry Keoghan plays our kind of our narrator in the Oliver. But each one of these characters, I was thinking that like, man, we could have a Saltburn extended universe. You could see the point of view of each one of these characters. And I was thinking about Jacob Elordi because I saw a screening with a lot of critics, I think, but then I saw it with a bunch, like there was also like a lot of 16-year-old girls. And the moment Jacob Elordi comes on screen, there was squeals. There was, I was like, how powerful is this? And he's that character, you guys, that like when he shines his light on you, you feel insanely special and seen. And I think we all have that person in our lives. Who is that person in your life? I was thinking about, and then I was thinking, because I saw Rosamund Pike talk and they said, she's like, we do it for Emerald. We go there for Emerald. And I was like, are you Jacob Elordi to all of these people? Like, do you have a Jacob Elordi, Felix in your life?
I wish I was Jacob Elordi because he's so lovely and so talented and brilliant. Who is that person for me? My mother.
Yeah.
She's the person, you know, my mother is a person who is so charismatic, so amazing. And she and my sister both have this quality where they can get, and it sounds makes it sound like they're witches. They kind of are witches. They get things out of you. You know, they will sit next to somebody at dinner, or they will meet somebody on a train, and they will know everything. They will know everything about that person. They just draw things out because they have this kind of beautiful, fascinating light. And so I think that kind of, the kind of charisma of Jacob, the charisma of Rosamund, and everyone in the Catton family, but the house too. For the movie to work, we all need to be ready to get on our knees for this place. We all need to feel as an audience that even against our better judgment, knowing that these things are insane and toxic and terrible, that we don't fucking care, and we want in, and we want to have sex with all of them, kill all of them, have them all love us back. You know, that's the only way the movie can work. And someone like Jacob is perfect for that role because he is not only so charismatic, but such a good actor that the most amazing thing he did was make this person who is like, as you say, just sort of a blinding light, a real person, and actually kind of a jerk. You know, that's what we really needed.
Yeah, no, it was really amazing. Also, I was just thinking about the faces. I mean, Mr. Keoghan's face, I fell in love with his face during the movie, and I can't imagine what it was like for you behind the lens, seeing these people that you wrote come to life, but also his face tells a story and adds so much to the writing. I mean, when did you know this was working when you started filming? Because I imagine going into something like this is a war, but you don't know sometimes if you're going to be able to have victory. When did you know that we are getting what we need to get from these performances?
Well, I think honestly, it's so much of it is casting, and so much of it is the conversation that you have with the actors beforehand, because that's the thing about all of them is that I want to get into it. I really want to get into it, and that's the thing about making a movie like this is you all have to be kind of walking in exactly the same direction in kind of lockstep. And so when I meet people for the first time, I want to get into it. I want to know, I want to ask questions that are like complicated and difficult. I want to know that we can kind of like get in there. And so that helps. And also, like, the thing is with Barry and his face is that there's just no one in the world like him. I don't know that there's ever been anyone like him, and he has this thing where the closer you get, and, me and Linus like to get really, really close. We want to see.
Who's the cinematographer and just beautiful. I mean, so beautiful, you guys. You're going to love the look of this.
The greatest, and he's the greatest. And you get so close to Barry, you're kind of practically inside him and less. The closer you get, the less. Yes. And that is so exciting. And I think, honestly, from the first moment, the first shot of the movie that we shot there's a shot of Jacob lying on the floor that they used actually in some of the promos where he's lying on the floor smoking, saying it's so fucking hot. And you can see Oliver's shadow kind of on the window frame on the floor. And I just, their chemistry together, their unbelievable talent, their insane beauty, their very different charismas. I kind of, I knew that we were going to have something really complicated and interesting from the beginning. But, I mean, whether it connects with everyone, you can never know. But it connected with me, which was, wonderful.
I was thinking about where this movie is going to land with audiences, because now it's out of your hands in a sense. Yeah. Now is the fun part in a sense, and the scary part, because you've been living with Saltburn. You're never going to leave Saltburn, but you've been living with this for 8 years, and now this is out into the world after this week. In what way? I mean, do you ever think about, this is how I want this to be perceived, or are you one of those people that are like, it is yours now, I hope you get something from it, but I will not dictate what I want you to get from this?
I think that's such an interesting question, because I am in this process, in the kind of publicizing thing, part of this. You are kind of, as a filmmaker, expected to dictate, or there is a desire from people to be like told what you think. And I've kind of always felt like it's not that useful what I think. What I think is in the movie. And it's necessarily, there are things that are necessarily unresolved. Otherwise, it's sort of not interesting. And, then you find there are always the things that happen, which some people feel it's too resolved. Some people feel it's not resolved enough. And, these things will always be the case. What I love is when I sit in a theatre full of people watching this movie, it is different every time. And the as you say, the kind of squealing, like that, it is kind of like a roller coaster, in that you have people like gasping, you have people shouting, you have people screaming, you have people squirming, you have people like unbelievably aroused and other people unbelievably disgusted. And at some point, what usually happens is the audience kind of turns on itself, because people don't feel the other person's response is legitimate. And that goes around and around the room. So some people are laughing and other people are like, shut the fuck up. It's just like,
I love that. Yes.
But that's the kind of, this is a movie about power and about sex. And those things can't be simple, because they are different for everyone, and how they are used, how they are perceived is different for every single person. But also, we make a movie for people. You make a movie rather than any other thing to be theatrically released, so that people can sit in the dark next to strangers that they can hear breathing, And that in itself is kind of can be an erotic kind of powerful experience. So my main goal for this has always been like not to tell people like what to think or how to feel, or even if they should like it or not, obviously, but to go and see it with other people.
This is what they need to air at AMC theaters instead of the Nicole Kidman thing. They need to air what you just said of like, you're sitting in a theater, it's very charged, because that's what I was thinking about, the power of going back to a movie theater and how I always tell my audience, I don't want that to die. It's very important. We're so antiseptic in how we view these things now, but to go into that theater and have that experience, I did have an experience. It was like going to a concert, which I want this to live on forever. That's the exciting part of Saltburn, the movie itself, but also that you can go see it in the theaters this week.
Yeah.
I mean, how amazing is that? Because we couldn't do that a couple of years ago.
Totally. And that is kind of, I feel like this film is sort of a response to that. And it's a really interesting thing. And I have to remind myself all the time, because obviously I've got 2 small children, and often the thing that can fall by the wayside is like going to the movie theater, because obviously you're like tired and every bit of time is precious and you want to see your friends and all that kind of stuff. But for me, it's like, it is just, what I know is that it is a different experience watching something by myself or just with one other person. It's not the same. And the kind of commitment that actually going to the movies is still, it's not the same as just watching a movie at home. They are 2 separate things. Oh. And I think a lot of the time, you know, I'm reminded, and why like Barbenheimer was so exciting, was that those films were made to watch with other people. And yeah, it's wonderful that people are going back. And I'm increasingly going to see movies, like I saw Beau is Afraid recently.
Oh my God.
My favorite film of the year, my biggest obsession.
You guys, Ari Aster. Oh,
yeah, wow. It's just the greatest. But, you know, I went to see that at midday. I had a couple of hours off, and I went to see it at midday in London, and it had already been out for ages, and it was packed. You know, it was really packed. People
want that experience.
Yeah.
I went and saw Stop Making Sense, the re-release, and it was so amazing. Like, people were dancing in the theaters, but I think Saltburn is so worthy of your time to go see. Just a couple more minutes with you. I don't know if I heard this correctly at the press conference, but Rosamund said, did the actors live at Saltburn, or where you shot Saltburn? Did they live on set?
Some did. Yeah. Did. I didn't, because I, again, run and had to go home for bath time. I mean, Rosamund did, and wonderful Paul, who plays the butler Duncan.
Oh my,
genius.
I feel like he might still be there. I don't think he's never leaving, that guy. Like that guy's face. Wow.
Paul Rees is one of the greatest actors of his generation, and he's also in Napoleon this year. He's so brilliant. And he lived there, and then the rest of us all lived very close by. So we were all together. You know, and it's a huge thing for me. Making a movie is a privilege. It's really, really difficult, you know, not as difficult as like anyone else's job in the world, of course. In terms of like sheer adrenaline and sort of like, you know, levels of difficulty and all that kind of stuff, it's up there. And so you've all got to be in it together. You've got to trust each other. You've got to know that every single person who is on that set is as important as the next person. And so, you know, I have no swanky trailers. All of the actors are in the same green room on set. So when they have downtime, they're there. Nobody's isolated, marooned in some stupid giant trailer on their own. You know, we all eat together, cast and crew. It's like we are trying, you know, we're endeavoring to make something beautiful and special and difficult. And you can't do that if everyone is, you know, everyone's uncomfortable. Nobody trusts each other. And it's amazing how often that, you know, that is the dynamic on a set.
I mean, you can feel the dynamic you set up in every frame of this film. Also, I just wanted to give a special shout out to the audience. When you see this, Alison Oliver gives just an amazing performance. I feel like she is not being brought up enough, but like, my God, that she has stayed with me so much.
Thank you. Yes. I mean, because I think she's one of the, I mean, I've never seen anyone like her. And same with Archie, who plays Farley, another person, you know, he was in Gran Turismo as well. And wow, he is unbelievable. Both of them, just remarkable.
And he wears the iconic Dump Him Britney Spears shirt in the movie, you guys. I mean, that's how she knows her pop culture.
Britney will never leave. She will
Right?
never not be in my cinematic world. I love her.
Well, hey, listen, they're optioning her book right now. This could be the third project. You guys, Saltburn is it's so worthy of your time. Like you said, it's an experience. In fact, I got lost at Universal after I saw it, and I got lost in the parking structure, and I was just walking around, and I just kept thinking to this labyrinth that you see in Saltburn, and I was just going up trying to beat my car to hear it.
Sorry, you got lost in Jurassic Parking?
No. Yeah, yes. At Universal Studios, they name it Jurassic Park.
It's Jurassic Parking, and every time I go there, I think I hope that person is a billionaire.
I was just lost after seeing Saltburn, and I was so disoriented, and I was like, I just live here now. But I'm such a huge fan of yours. When I heard that I was able to talk to you, was over the moon. Promising Young Woman was such a great film, and this one is worthy of your time. I want you to go see this in the theater, you guys. This is really important. We want more films like this. We want worlds that we can live in, and you are a universe builder, and I am so thrilled to talk to you today. And also, I just want to point out, Margot Robbie produced this film. Lucky Chap. Also, her company produced Promising Young Woman. What an amazing collaboration that I hope continues forever. But thank you, Emerald, for being here today. I so appreciate it. And what an amazing piece of work.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I love your podcast. It's amazing.
Thanks, Emerald. Was that okay?
It was lovely. Thank you for